Today's episode of the Get Your Comic On podcast may contain mild spoilers for the movies, shows, comic books, and games that we're discussing. And, if you're lucky, there might be some PG-13 language. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hey super friends, it's Neil and welcome to a brand new episode of the Get Your Comic On podcast. I am joined today by Aaron and we are going to be going through some of our favourite comics, films and TV series from 2025 so far. We are recording this, we're a smidge over halfway through July, so maybe we're a little bit beyond halfway through the year, but you'll be forgiven for allowing us to pick our favourite things that we have seen and read so far this year. Before we dive into that though, Aaron, how you doing?
Good, not too bad. I think we said this before we started recording. We didn't quite realise we're this close to August already.
I know. Where did
Like,
half the year go already?
yeah, I mean, it feels like not much has really happened this year. But then you look at everything that's already come out, and it's like, okay, yeah, no, we are definitely halfway through
Yeah, we are.
2025. There is so much that's come
You will
out,
be
but
putting up the Halloween decorations before you know it.
yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesco's have already got them. That and the Christmas decorations ready.
Other supermarket variations are available. Um,
Yes, yes.
yeah, I know it's crazy. It's really mad to think about it. But it's been one hell of a year so far already.
Mm,
Considering it's been a while since we recorded an episode, and we keep having grand plans. I don't
mm.
really feel like it's been all that long since we've done one, but it has been quite a while since we've done one. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. I
yeah.
just don't know where time is going right now, but. It's been interesting going back over everything that I have watched and read this
Mm,
year, trying to figure out what my favorites are. Because I feel like I'm fine on movies, which is
mm,
maybe because I use Letterboxd. But it was like, okay, cool, boom, 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 boom. I know what has
mm.
been kind of there's a little flex in there that my list when we get to it is slightly different on an emotional standpoint than
Yeah.
it is on a Letterboxd star rating standpoint. Um, but TV and comic books, I found really interesting trying to figure out what my favorites were and what how to
Mm.
rank them. Don't know how you.
Yeah. I, mine was tricky, especially for TV, because again, I was saying this before we were recording, but this is me in general, is that I'm better at watching films than I am TV shows because I
Mhm.
find a show really has to click with me straight away for me to go, yes, I'm going to commit to this.
Oh, it's so interesting because obviously, uh, again, we
Mm,
were talking about this slightly before we started recording, but as we were
mm,
recording this, I only have 5 days left of my 30s before I become middle-aged, apparently, according to Google. But obviously, I am a little bit older than you are, and I
mm,
come from the era of the 22 episode season, where
mm,
every show that I watched lived by 22 to 24 episodes a season.
mm,
And I would sit there every Thursday night, whack the volume up for the theme tune on Buffy every episode for 7 seasons.
mm.
Um, but now I'm like, oh no 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 no! You're telling me this is more than 10 episodes? I don't have the time to commit to something with more than 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's a weird one because with my age range, it's weird because I grew up with like that 10 episode or even sometimes with Doctor Who. That's
Yeah,
kind of the one I'm going with.
13. Yeah,
That was a very distinct 13. And like you said, now that the norm is like about 8 or 6,
yeah.
anything over that now just feels a bit weird. I do slightly miss that 13 because I feel like that was a nice,
That was a good sweet spot.
yeah, it's a good sweet spot. But then at the same time, I do remember like watching Heroes, and that first season is 22. Like that
Yeah.
is a behemoth of a first season. That's 20 next year. That show is 20 next year. I can't. That makes me feel too old. Oh god. Anyway, tangents aside about Heroes. For me, the sweet spot is like 10 to 13, and the fact that we get a lot of like 8 to 6 length
Yeah,
seasons does feel a bit. Because for me, that's like mini series length,
yeah,
not full blown series length.
yeah.
So it has taken a while to get used to it.
And obviously, you
Um,
and I both read a lot of comic books as well. So that was
mm,
really interesting trying to figure out what my favorites are. This it's going to be interesting seeing. And
mm,
I think you and I have very different tastes in comic books as well, because you're really in the sweet spot of like mini series and indie stuff,
yeah.
whereas I'm like, give me all the superheroes. So I think where you and I might be quite similar on film, I think we're going to vary pretty differently on comic books as well. So we are going
Mm,
to dive in on comic books first, then we are going to talk about TV shows, and then we are going to round out by talking about movies. And maybe if we've got a little bit of time, we might just mention a few things that we're looking forward to that are coming up in the back half of this year. Otherwise, I feel like we can save that for an entirely different episode.
yeah.
But please get in touch and let us know what your favorite things are that you've been watching and reading this year. You can find us on all major platforms at Get Your Comic Con, or you can find me at Neil Vag, and we can find you at Arunaza on all major platforms, if I am pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
Um,
Arunaza yeah,
I did the posh version, Arunaza.
Arunaza.
Oh no. Oh,
Oh.
I'm terribly middle class. Um, but let's dive in with comics then.
Yeah.
I go, please tell me, are we going to do this in like reverse order from five to one?
Yeah, so with the weird thing is with comics specifically, I just put a list of five that came to mind that
Okay.
were like the ones I really liked. They're not in any particular order, but there is
Okay.
one that particularly stands out. So the one to no, five to two will just be
Random.
ones that I really like, and then I definitely have a top one, which might be a bit of a ballsy pick because it's only one issue in, but I like that first issue so
Oh.
much.
Okay.
Um,
So, what
so
what is your first one?
my first one is Lost Fantasy, written by Kurt Pyers. I think it's an Image Comics
Yeah.
release. That one, when you, because the way we usually do it is Neil will give us a long list of the comics that are available, and then we just pick and choose.
Yep.
And when that one came in, I'd already seen Image Comics on Instagram like promoting it, and the way they were promoting it really intrigued me because it was very much a case of let's take the main protagonist and the art style, but riff off of like old PlayStation 1 game covers like Final
Oh,
Fantasy
nice.
7
I
and
remember this, yeah.
yeah, and it was that promotion alone where I'm like, okay, this has really intrigued me. I have no idea what it's about,
Yeah.
but visually I'm like, what are they doing with this? I'm on board. And then as soon as I saw it come up in the list, I'm like, I'm having that. And thankfully, I think we're one or two issues in, and so far it has not disappointed. There's a just the
Awesome.
right amount of intrigue to the point where just when you think you know where it's going, it'll kind of pull the rug out from you by the end of the issue, and then rinse and repeat for the next one, and it
Yep.
constantly keeps you on your toes. But yeah, no, brilliant read. I don't really want to say too much because it's one of those series where the little you know going into it,
Okay.
the better. Because I knew absolutely nothing outside of like the visual style of what it was trying to.
I was gonna say, is there like an overall synopsis for the series that
There is a world of magic myths and monsters that exists beneath the surface of our own. Since first contact was made 100 years ago, the great hunters have kept us safe from the creatures that lurk in the shadows. But last night something broke through, and it's up to rookie monster hunter Henry Blackheart to stop it. Um, and one thing, there's another title that I might mention later that I also feel draws comparisons to Hellboy in the sense that
oh, interesting.
there's elements of the
Great one.
real world and
Yeah.
there's fantasy elements, and it kind of perfectly takes both and goes like that. So it takes like real world historical figures from like American politics, like
Yeah.
past presidents, name drops them. You see some of them visually represented in the artwork, but at the same time, you've got like giant golems and
I like it.
stuff like that. So it's a weird mashup.
Yeah.
It really works because it commits so heavily to that fantasy element with a sci-fi backdrop, and I that's kind of a sweet spot for me in
Hmm.
comics if it can get them just right. But that is my first pick, and it's a very good one. Again, I think it's only two issues in at the moment,
Yeah.
but it is very good. It is very, very good.
Awesome. So my first pick is one that I think I've talked about. I'm pretty sure I talked about it when we did our first podcast this year, where we were talking about things we
Yep.
were looking forward to this year, which is Star Trek, which is IDW publishing.
Hmm.
Um, they've actually just brought their universe to an end, but with some new stuff that's just kicking off in the next month as well, that has the same creative teams working on different books. But basically, anything that IDW is doing with Star Trek is
Yep.
absolutely incredible at the moment. So the main series was being written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, and then there was a spin-off series called Star Trek Defiant being written by Christopher Cantwell.
Yep.
Um, that universe had been running for 2 to 3 years, and they've just brought that to a close with this huge event
Mm.
called the Law War,
I
which was
remember you
where
saying this, yeah.
Data's I was going to say twin, but
Mm.
identical android brother basically took over the entire multiverse and messed with time and brought things to a close. And it was this really, really big finale. But it's been such a wonderful series, and you can now go back and kind of collect all of that at this
Mm.
point, and read the whole thing from start to finish. And it's just this really wonderful 20, it must be 25, 26 issues of storytelling that has a bunch of
Mm.
little crossovers between the two series, as well as individual stories that are in Christopher Cantwell's Defiant series, as well as the main Star Trek.
Mm.
Um, it started out with legacy characters from all the 90s series, but then it brings in characters from more modern shows as well. So like
Yep.
Lower Decks characters and stuff come into it and folds in some of that. It also touches on the Kelvin era movies as well, making the whole Star Trek multiverse all one big kind of
Mm.
sandbox of storytelling. Um, and Colin and Jackson just really understand Star Trek so unbelievably well that
Mm.
everything they wrote is absolutely gold. Um, they're now doing something slightly different within the Star Trek universe. Christopher Cantwell's just launched a new book called Star Trek Red Shirts, which
Yes.
plays on the tropes of the security officers from TOS that wear the
Mm.
red shirt, might speak one line and then get killed off.
Mm.
But he is spinning out this mini series that's all about what happens with red shirts who go on an away mission together, which looks like it's going to be really good fun. But I didn't want to pick that yet because it is literally just like a week old. Um,
Yeah.
but
I I saw the review you did for Red Shirts, and that
yeah,
alone, I think it was your review mixed with just that very striking,
it's a very cool
simple,
cover.
yeah, that cover immediately had me sold.
Yeah,
Because I like it when, and this goes for not just comics but TV and film as well. If someone can find like a pre-established franchise and find like a slightly new direction to
yeah,
take it in while still having it feel like that franchise,
yeah,
I'm all on board for that. And if you can blend Star Trek with horror, I'm on board with that because
yeah.
that sounds like so much not fun. The cover looks quite gruesome.
I don't even.
Yeah.
Everything IDW has done with the Star Trek license has been brilliant, so I can't wait to
Mm.
see what else they're doing. They've got a Voyager series that's coming up. It's like a sequel to the Voyager TV show about what happens after
Mm.
the series finale. Um, there's a new Strange New World series that's starting on the 27th of August,
Yeah.
which they sent me the first issue of, and I've just read, which is really, really fun, which I think people will get quite excited about once they read it,
Mm.
but I'll have lots more to say about that quite soon. So that is my number five pick. What
Yep.
is your next one?
My next one is one that I mentioned previously on this podcast, and I think you know it very well. It's The Lucky
I
Devils,
thought that
written,
might be. Yeah.
yeah, written by Charles Soule. This one is just a lot of fun. Yeah, it keeps finding new ways to kind of outdo itself in terms of how bizarre and dark it can get with its humor. So the premise of this one is that two devils in hell are trying to work their way up the hierarchy. So by doing that, they are manipulating these two humans to kind of do every sin imaginable or give in to those so that the humans can benefit, but more importantly, those devils can kind of dwindle their way up the hierarchy a little bit and get to the top. Um, it's bonkers. It's over the top. It's got a very gross sense of humor at times, but the thing I love about it is that the first issue was like really good, and sold the premise immediately. But every issue so far has just gone further and further because each issue is another level of Dante's,
Yep.
like the seven levels of hell,
Yep.
and focuses on a different sin, like gluttony, lust, that sort of thing. So it really takes those aspects and a couple of specific points in those issues will take that thing and then just kind of crank it up to 11 for a couple of pages and then bring it back down to normality again. Yeah, it's deranged, it's fun,
In the
uh,
best way possible.
in the best way possible. I think I've used that term of phrase a couple of times for each issue of that I've reviewed, but that is the best way to describe it. It just takes the insanity of that premise, and each issue is just kind of going and a bit more, and a bit
Hmm.
more,
Yeah.
and a bit more. But it's weird to say without going too far. Like with something like this, they could go all out right from the word go. But I like the fact that they're gradually amping up towards that finale because it's only a 9-part mini series,
Yeah.
so I feel like that's going to work perfectly at telling like a really nice cohesive little story. But yeah, I think this is 4 or 5 episodes issues in, and it's bonkers. But if you're a fan of Charles Soules and the artist is Ryan Brown, if you're a fan of their previous collaborations, you're gonna love this because it's more of the same, but just it doubles down on the humor and it is really good. And the artwork is gorgeous at some points, um, especially when you get like double page spreads
Yeah.
of what their version of hell is like. And the best way to describe it is like you know how in the film Constantine it's like a nuked version of a city.
I'm already sold. You need to say that.
It's like that, but
Yeah.
then you have these like very over the top mythical creatures like
Mm.
multi-winged beasts just flying around and they get very cartoony elements along with like a ruined city that's just got devils
Very cool.
running around. Absolutely brilliant. What is your fourth pick?
My next one is I'm sticking with the IDW for a second. Uh
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which
Nice.
relaunched last year. I think we've just had our 10th issue released. I say
Yeah.
our, like I own it. This is written by Jason Aaron. It started out last year with
Mm,
different issues with a different artist each month because they did an individual issue on each of the turtles to begin with, and each one was a different artist. But now Raphael Albuquerque is on board as the series artist.
mm.
Is a really tough read
Yeah.
because it is if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, particularly if you're a Ninja Turtles fan like me, who was around for the original cartoon series, who loves the kind of heroes in a
Mm.
half shell, high-fiving, eating pizza, skateboarding around the sewers kind of
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles. This is not that. This is uh spoiler alert, four very, very broken individuals who have lost their father. So Splinter is dead at this point in time,
Mm.
which is kind of a carryover from the previous version of the comics. Um, and they are psychologically really heavily impacted by that, and they've kind of broken up as a team and split up, but have been brought back together through circumstance. And they don't get on very well at all, and it's all about them trying to. The most recent issue is kind of a bit of a tearjerker because they've sort of had a bit of a breakthrough. It's all about them kind of coming back together and re-establishing what it means to be a family and to be brothers with
Mm.
each other. It's so well written. Like the emotional stuff in it is really perfectly pitched. And then all the action that happens in it is kind of
Mm.
almost secondary, but is still awesome as well.
Mm.
So New York, they are in New York City.
Yeah.
New York City is kind of overrun by the Foot Clan, but they're now um, at this point, Shredder isn't around. He has his own series starting in the next few weeks, which if you've seen on my social media, I got the first issue of and it's
Mm.
brilliant. Um, but the Foot Clan is still kind of around, but they're now deeply embedded into the police and the fire service and the government and everything. So they are kind of manipulating everyone to be anti-turtles and
Mm.
anti-mutants. So it's really interesting. Uh,
Okay.
Everything Jason is doing just utterly, utterly incredible. And
Mm.
so it's just coming up for 1 year since it was renumbered and went back to the beginning. It was just after San Diego Comic Con last year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that is my number four pick. Where are you taking
Mm.
us next?
Oh, right. I'm debating which one to go with here, but I think my next pick um, is a bit of to pardon the pun, it's a bit of a sleeped on one because I don't really
Yeah.
see many people talking
Oh,
about it.
okay.
But it is
Well,
Sleep.
time. Ah,
Yeah.
okay, time to bring some exposure. Come on.
Yeah. Written and illustrated by Xander Cannon. Again, similar to Lost Fantasy. At least with Lost Fantasy, I knew kind of like, all right, visually, I know what I'm getting myself in for. This
Yep.
one, literally knew nothing, but the initial premise immediately sold me. Which, as it says here, when Jonathan Reason falls asleep, he becomes something else. Every night he stalks his quiet little town, seemingly killing indiscriminately. When he wakes up covered in blood, that's where the story begins, and he has no
Interesting.
recollection of it. Um, and it's one of those series that, again, the little you know going into it, the better. Because again, I knew nothing, and it just surprised the hell out of me. But it's also one of those series that relies on its simplicity.
Yeah.
So the setup very simple, and that's kind of all it needs. It's got a very tangible sense of like uncertainty and unease through every single page. Um, and it's got one of those things where, like, yeah, you think you've got a gist of where what the grander thing going on is,
Mm.
but it keeps everything kind of locked away and hidden away. It's only a mini series again. I can't remember how many parts it is, but it looks like it again could be a very nice, simple, self-contained, tight little story. Um, and it's just really good. And also, one of my favorite things about it is the artwork, because it goes for a nice twist on the Sin City approach, where it's
Yep.
all kind of monochrome and black and white, but specific things are brought out in this very like gauche, like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a very vibrant red,
Okay.
where it's almost kind of hurting the eyes with how bright it is. But it really pops. Like the main character's glasses have red rims to them. Every once in a while, like I think if a cat walks past, its collar's going to be bright red. Um, and like where the aftermath of some killings happened that obviously Jonathan doesn't remember, that's red with blood. But
Interesting.
it's really well done. The artwork is gorgeous, but very simple. Because it's got that sort of the art the comic Ghost World.
Yep.
It's like that sort of 90s
Oh,
Daria sort of
yeah.
artwork,
Love
but,
that.
but again very stripped back with
Yeah.
colors. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this one goes, because I think we've only had the one issue so far, but it really sold me initially just
Wow.
off of that premise, and
That's cool.
it's doing its job.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds like
doing
it.
its job. What is your second to last? But I think we're on the second to last one,
Yeah, and
aren't
my number
we?
three. No, this is my number three pick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sticking with the big IP, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, everything is big IP here.
Fair enough.
Um, and we're going over to Boom Studios for Power Rangers Prime,
Yep.
um, which is Melissa Flores, who had been writing the Power Rangers main continuity book before they brought it to an end. And now she's doing this completely original thing that isn't beholden to any of the continuity of the TV shows. It's this different version of Earth that has been taken over by Zordon's race, actually, the Eltarians. So the
Mm,
race, the big floaty head that you will remember from the TV series.
mm,
Um, at some point in Earth's past, in this universe, they came to Earth, and they don't we sort of live in peace. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes. Um, in that I feel like the twist will really be that although it is sort of peaceful, they did kind of take us over in a way.
mm,
And Power Rangers are outlaws, but now there is a new team that has kind of surfaced because there is a Rita and there is all of these other classic elements, but being presented in a very, very different way. Um,
yep.
so it's like a cool alternate version with some brand new characters, some legacy characters in an entirely new setup. It's
Mm,
really exciting to read. Again, that did start last year, but it's just heading towards, I think it's 10th issue now. It must be getting towards um, brilliant, brilliant read.
nice.
I think if you are a long-time fan of the franchise, a lot to enjoy.
Mm,
If you aren't a long-time fan but have a curiosity about what Power Rangers is, or you had watched it as a kid and wanted it to have more character and more emotion to it, then this is the version that you want to read because she
mm,
has built up each of the characters to be. this sounds terrible because everyone loves that cast from the TV show,
Yeah,
but this is probably the most well fleshed out they've ever had in terms of characters in a Power Rangers franchise.
yeah.
So highly, highly recommend.
Okay, you've sold me because I was very firmly in that second category where like I watched it here and there as a kid,
Yeah.
but it did intrigue me, and I think I used to. Oh God, which one was it?
Good
Might,
luck. There's a lot of
Mighty.
them.
No, there was one game I used to play the hell out of on the PlayStation 1, and it
Oh,
was
nice.
they like traveled in time,
Yeah,
and I remember being stuck on the first level forever.
probably Time
Um,
Force.
yeah, that's the one. I have the theme tune from the menu like embedded in my brain. I forget really mundane things on a day-to-day basis, but that's just like stuck in the head.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you ever need me to hum you the score from the 1990
mm.
NES Batman 1989 adaptation? I can do you that, but couldn't tell you what I did yesterday.
No, no, it's the useless little things that stay up there.
What make us who we are.
Yeah, but no, I do that. You have sold me on that because I do want to delve more into Power Rangers, but I feel
Hmm.
like it's something I should have really done when I was younger, and now I'm kind of
Well,
hit
so
miss
I
the
mean,
boat.
30 years worth of TV is a lot for anyone to try and
Hmm.
dive into. Whereas if you went into this is a good slice of that in a comic book form that doesn't
Hmm.
rely on any of that continuity.
Okay, that's good to know. That's very good to know. Cool. Um, right. So my second to last pick.
You look nervous now. You're like, oh gosh, we're down to the wire.
No,
What's
no, no,
going
no. It's
on?
fine. I just forgot where I was for a second. My brain just broke. Um, I was trying to think of the theme tune again. So my second to last pick is a bit of an obvious one if you've been following my reviews, but it is the Tin Can Society,
Yep. Wonderful
which
series.
which started October last year and is still going. I think it's eight to nine issues, and we've just had the seventh, so
Wow,
it's
so not long to
very
go.
yeah, the it's got this habit, and it's a good habit of kind of ending each issue on a massive cliffhanger or twist.
Yeah, you said that.
Um,
It's interesting.
yeah, and it got to a point where I think at about like issue 4 or 5, it was like, okay, you're doing it again. This is getting a little bit annoying. But the last couple of cliffhangers have been like they've completely shifted the story
Interesting.
in its entirety.
Yeah.
And this series has quite nicely evolved into something I didn't think it would have. It's the
Mm.
first couple of issues started off as this very tender, emotionally driven character drama between this group of friends,
Yeah.
and that is where a lot of that drama came from. But then about the halfway point, it kind of shifted gears, brought on a bit more of like a tech thriller action sort of angle while still keeping that
That's
drama dynamic there.
yeah, that is quite a shift.
Yeah, and I suppose in the grand scheme of things, looking back at it, it was setting those seeds up very early on, but
Okay.
now I think after about like issue 5, it just went headfirst into that. And I think I even say this in like my review for issue 5. It's initially a bit like, oh, okay, what's going on? But then once you see where the story's gone and you're on board with it,
Yeah.
and like the last couple of issues have been more action oriented than the first couple. But I think it's kind of earned it at this point because the first couple of issues can be really heavy in
Yeah.
terms of the stuff they're
Your reviews were
tackling.
pretty heavy for it as well, even though you were giving it, top mark.
Yeah,
It was heavy going.
yeah, and I think fans, people that go into this series need to take that into account. Is that like it starts off with all of that emotional heft and that drama and that
Yeah.
heavy topic that you'd expect to be near the end. It gets that done first to make way for all the bombast and the action set pieces, um, which some of them are incredibly satisfying, and visually gorgeous. But yeah, definitely recommend it. It's very quickly going to reach its end, so I would say maybe hold off buying individual issues, and when they release it
Do a
as a
collected.
collected edition,
Yep.
read that because
With
I
that
feel
wonderful
like
quote from you on there that's like, Aaron
fingers
said,
crossed,
this
fingers
is an
crossed.
amazing book.
But yeah, Tin Can Society is my second to last pick because
Okay.
it is just that good.
And mine is the first of two Bat books.
Oh, okay. I feel
Uh,
like I know which one this might be, actually.
Oh, so my number two pick is Absolute Batman,
Okay.
which is written by Scott Snyder with
Mm,
series art is by Nick Dragotta. Although there's been a couple of issues where Nick has stepped off for other artists to step in for
yeah.
specific reasons to do with what's being told in the story. This was the first book in DC's Absolute Universe. Again, this is just about to hit 1 year old, so we're getting ready for issue number 12. This was DC trying to do something different. They did this event story called Absolute Power, where Amanda Waller stole powers from all of the DC Universe's heroes and put them into these Amazo robots, full of
Mm,
metahumans, locked them up in prisons, outlawed superheroes. Massive event, seismically different for the DC universe.
yep.
But then, as we came out of that, something else has happened to do with Darkseid that we don't really understand that has birthed this other Earth that our main heroes aren't aware of yet on Prime Earth,
Yep.
where basically their doppelgangers exist like they do on most other Earths,
Yep.
but they have all been born and raised through I, even more grim circumstances. Um, so, like Batman, Bruce is a little bit older than he is when his parents were killed in the main universe. He was
Yep.
on a school trip to Gotham Zoo that his dad was there for when somebody just started shooting people in the zoo, and Thomas Wayne threw Bruce and the kids into the Bat House.
Yep.
Bat connection,
Mm,
and is gunned down. Spoiler alert. So Martha Wayne is still alive. She is still around in this world. Bruce grew up without a dad, and he is this like if you've seen pictures, he is a
yeah.
hulking Batman. He is
Yeah.
huge. And he has this like lethal axe that's the chest plate of his suit. He has all these spikes. It's so
Mm,
like heavy metal, which is purely Scott Snyder.
mm,
And this book is so goddamn good. It's brilliant. It it's so difficult when you do like an Elseworlds or a different take on something for it to not just be like, oh, I have this random hook. Here's this thing that I want to do, which is like, oh, it's Batman. Only one of his parents died, so he grew up with one of them. Or
mm,
it's Batman, but he was born in London, not Gotham. Elseworlds can often have these like gimmicks to them.
yeah.
But whatever it is that Scott Snyder was cooking with when he came up with this,
Mm,
so the Absolute Universe was kind of dreamed up by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson, who is an
yep.
equally amazing writer at DC.
Mm,
Um, they've got a few years worth of storytelling planned for this universe. And at the moment, there's Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter that are all at various stages. But
yeah.
Batman was the first one. Um, it's just brilliant. It is brutal. His way that he writes the city is so different to the Prime universe. It feels massively like lived in and well populated, and
Mm,
we see a lot of how people interpret Batman and his actions and the things that the supervillains are doing through the eyes of Gotham citizens, which is really interesting because you don't get that so much in the Prime universe. Um, We've had some really interesting villain takes as well. So the first
mm,
arc was Black Mask. We've had a little side arc that featured Mr. Freeze that was grotesque. It was
yeah.
like a really grotesque Mr. Freeze. And now we've got the this version of Bane that is even bigger than Batman, but he has this tiny, itty bitty little head. Tiny head, really big body. That is
Mm,
like the stuff, I won't spoil it, the stuff that Scott is
yep.
writing right now is to coin a technical term that you have used on this podcast already this evening, bonkers.
Yep. I
But
will
it's
admit,
brilliant.
when I saw the image of that the bulking Batman that is in that series, it really did pique my interest because it looks like this weird mesh between like the Dark Knight's metal stuff
Yep.
and the Dark Knight Returns. It was like
Yep.
a weird mesh of like, my God, how much bigger can you make Batman?
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And
am
obviously
intrigued.
there's lots of things that people were like, oh well, how can he ever pretend to be
Mm,
anyone other than Batman? But there's so much context to it. It all works
mm,
perfectly. It's so good. So good.
mm. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to read that. Because
And
they've
be
done it
number
for a
one.
couple. They've done for a couple of characters, haven't they? There's
Yep.
Absolute
Yeah,
Wonder
there's
Woman as well.
yeah, so Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian
Yep.
Manhunter, Flash, and Green Lantern so far, all
Nice,
have series.
nice.
They are building up an entire Earth of heroes, which presumably will lead to a alternate absolute Justice League of Heroes as well. And at some
Love that.
point they will clash with main universe, but we're not there yet.
I love that. Um,
Go on, tell
right.
me, what is your number one?
My number one, which I said earlier, might be a bit of a ballsy pick because it's only
Hmm.
had one issue, but that first issue of News from the Fallout was so
Oh yeah.
bloody good. Um, I feel like, and this isn't like a criticism for all comics, but I feel like some comics nowadays can rely very heavily on exposition and dialogue,
Yep.
filling up pages. This works so well because it relies purely on its visuals. It is visual storytelling at its best. There is dialogue, but to be honest, you could remove that and you'd still get the gist of what's going on. The entire thing is presented in this really bleak, desolate, kind of scratchy grey, black, and white
Oh,
artwork
very cool.
that, paired, paired with its subject matter of a nuke going off in Nevada in 1962, and you're following this one private who decided to wear a gas mask and has survived it, whilst all of his comrades just become these weird, horrible mutant things that
Nice.
look like the worst things your nightmares could conjure. It's visceral, it's simple, and it's one of those ones where, and I haven't really had this with a comic for a long time, where like I think because it is so heavily reliant on telling its story visually, um, a lot of that those images from the pages have not left my head for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Might have not got some sleep for a few weeks, but it is so good. I think that is the best way to describe it. It's very simple in the best possible way, and I feel like anyone can read it. You have to be in the right frame of mind to read it, but
Yeah.
and again, this is a really, really short series. I think it's only like 4 issues. So I think it's got a point to prove in its short story. But
Yeah.
I'm really, really intrigued to see where it goes. It's written by Chris Condon,
Yep.
and the
Brilliant.
artwork is by Jeffrey Allen Love. And honestly, they've both knocked it out of the park. Um, yeah, and even when there is dialogue, it's just really angry and aggressive. It's just people shouting at each other.
Okay.
But it is really good. It is really good. I don't really know how to segue from that because it is a very. I think I summed it up in the review. It's just visceral. Like as you're reading it, you're like, "Oh my god!" And I've just realised all my picks are Image Comics.
Wow.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
I was expecting like an IDW to squeeze in there or maybe a Marvel. No, they're all Image, um,
Interesting.
which just kind of proves the quality they're producing.
Oh
They've
yeah.
always produced quality stuff, but they're on fire at the moment. They really are.
Yes.
What is your number one?
My number one is another Bat book.
I think
It
I know which one this is because I thought it was going to be the one you were going to pick, but I
Ooh,
think I know
okay.
which one this is.
It's written by Tate Brumble, has
Hmm.
series artwork by Takeshi Miyazawa, and it is Batgirl.
Yeah, exactly what I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Brilliant book. Again, very family orientated. It did start towards the end of last year.
Mm,
We're on issue 9 or 10 of that one as well now, I think. It's just hard to believe.
mm,
It's based on Cassandra Cain's Batgirl. She It's a story about her and her mum, Lady Shiva, who is a world-known assassin in DCU.
mm.
They have this really fractious relationship. They always have done, but it's kind of about them. Cass is happy and comfortable in life in Gotham when her mum comes crashing in and ends up bringing her away from the city because there is this big threat to the family. Um,
Yeah.
and it's sort of about the mother-daughter relationship in the middle of all this chaos. But it's just taken some massive twists in the last couple of issues to where it is right now. Um, I need to be careful not to say anything because I'm an issue ahead of
Yeah.
the public. Um, but it's just done some really cool stuff,
Mm,
introducing some characters that were really unexpected. Tate has an amazing way of writing Cassandra. He really gets into Cassandra's mind and understands her because she is a character who was mute for years in the
yeah.
comics. She is the Batgirl that, if you don't know her by name, has no mouthpiece in her. in her cowl.
Mm,
She's typically seen with it sewn up completely, and there is no mouth because she was mute. She is now able to communicate a lot more than that, but
mm,
communication is still better to her internally than externally. So there's this wonderful narration and this wonderful understanding of how her mind works in the series that's really interesting to read.
mm,
Great action. Takeshi's artwork is so
mm.
good.
That's the one thing that's kind of sold me on wanting to read it,
Yep.
because that's my standard for most comics. Is like if the artwork's good, then I'll commit to reading it.
Yeah.
And the bits I've seen of Batgirl look stunning, look
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous.
He has a great way of being able to hone in on the facial expressions and the emotional bits when it's a character moment, but then is able to do
Mm,
the big scale stuff. And there's so
mm.
much fluidity and it's so dynamic when there's action going on. There are
Yeah.
some really great action set pieces. There was one on a train that has a really cool kind of cutaway side scrolling
Mm.
splash that looks incredible. It has more than earned itself as my number one book of the year so far,
Nice, nice. Absolutely love that.
which rounds us out of comics and takes us
Yep.
into TV.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I will kick off with this one. I reckon
Okay.
this is going to be one that might be on your list too.
Okay.
My number five is Apple TV series Murderbot, which you and I have
Yep.
spoken about on this podcast before. So I
Yep.
won't say too much because you can go back and listen to us talk about how much we both enjoyed this show.
Hmm.
It has now finished its season. It has been renewed for a second season, which is very exciting. Uh,
Yes.
yes, I know. So happy. Stars Alexander Skarsgård, and quite an all-star cast along with people like
Mm,
David Dastmalchian. John Cho is in there. I won't tell you how. You'll have to go back and watch or listen to our other podcasts. Clark Gregg, DeWanda Wise, Jack McBrayer.
yep.
Wonderful cast. It is being. I don't know who the showrunner is. That's terrible because I've not got that in front of me on my screen.
Uh, I
It,
wrote a review as well, and I should know
I
it.
know, and so did I. We are
Oh,
both terrible human beings.
yeah.
Uh, Executive producer David S. Goyer, Dan Algoyan, Toa Fraser. There's a bunch of executive producers. I'm not sure who the showrunner is off the top of my head, which is terrible. It's based on a book. I'm about to start the book. Go watch it. Apple TV, brilliant series.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm interested
Showrunners,
to see where it falls in your list, though.
yeah. So showrunners are Paul and Chris Weitz.
Thank you.
There we go. So I mean, again, similar to my comics, I have a list, but outside of like the top two or three, they weren't really in an order.
Ooh.
But for the sake of consistency, Murderbot is my number five as well, because I think looking at my list, I'm like, yes, I do like it, but the other ones I've got listed, I
It was
think,
just such a surprise, which is what you and I were talking about when
yeah.
we did the podcast on this before. It really surprised me by how
Mm,
good it was and how much it suckered me in with the
mm,
story of someone who is so emotionally cold.
mm. Yeah, it. To be honest, when I went into it, I think again we said this in the previous issue, is that like you don't really know what to expect going into it, and you kind
Yeah.
of get presented with one thing, but it very nicely evolves as the series goes on into a completely new thing you weren't really aware of, and
Yeah.
it's better for it. It kind of leaves it in a place where it's like, I'm happy to see where they go with it. I don't know where they'll go with it, but I'm intrigued to see what they do with this character and if they bring any of the other characters back as well. But yeah, that my first pick is also Murderbot because I was pleasantly surprised by it. And for some reason, my brain was like, "Oh no, that's a 2024 release," and then I kind of remembered, "Oh yeah, I did actually see it before everyone else did," which
Yeah.
I think is why my brain kind of forgot it's a 2025 show.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my first pick as well as yours.
Yes. And my next one is another Apple TV series as well. So
Okay.
my number four pick is Prime Target, which stars Leah Woodle and Quintessa Swindell.
Yep.
Synopsis wise, a postgraduate mathematics student discovers an effort being made to destroy his work in finding a pattern in prime numbers that would allow him
Mm,
to access any and every computer in the world. This was a how many episodes was it? 8 episode series
mm,
that finished a little earlier this year. I don't know if they're going to make any more. A second season has not been commissioned as we're recording this that I'm aware of.
mm.
Um, but there is the room to tell more story.
Yep.
It's just a cool conspiracy theory. It's sort of got a bit of a Da Vinci Code-esque kind of
Oh.
pseudo science fiction, pseudo other things. There's a
Mm,
bit of other stuff going on that I won't say too much because it sort of spoils stuff. There's kind of
yep.
historical reasons why people might have a fear of prime numbers, but there's also the kind of
Mm,
tech angle to it. It's just very exciting. And Leo Woodle and Quintessa Swindle are both great in it too.
mm,
Um, it's
mm.
also got Martha Plimpton in a dramatic role, which is quite interesting because I'm used to Martha
Oh,
Plimpton in a comedy role.
yeah,
And Stephen Rea, Harry Lloyd, and Fra Free are also in it. It's a really cool cast. But if
nice.
you have not watched it, Apple TV, 8 episodes, all out, available for you to binge. Brilliant TV show, Prime Target.
Nice. I think my next pick might be on your list, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest. I would have Daredevil on my list, but I have not watched it yet. So, to make up for that, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is in here
Oh,
instead.
not on my list, but what a wonderful pick. Great show.
Yeah, because I was like, I need to. There's been enough Marvel shows this year already, so that I was like, I need to have them represented somewhere. I've still not watched Ironheart yet. I'm
Also a
very
really good show, actually. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm severely slacking when it comes to MCU shows, but the one I have seen, I really enjoyed. And again, similar to Murderbot, this one pleasantly surprised me because I
Hmm.
kind of went
Okay.
into it thinking it was going to go one way, but instead it kind of subverted expectations. And it's just really enjoyable. It kind of harkens back to that light-hearted
Yep.
style and tone of the 90s animated series, but kind of also does its own thing story-wise and with these characters.
Yeah. It
Really
finds
like
the fun in the character again, doesn't it? Which
yeah,
is kind of
yeah.
I s- the Tom Holland version, no offense, he hasn't had a lot of room for fun, particularly
Mm,
after the first film. I think Homecoming had a lot of fun.
mm.
I feel like things got really heavy for him after that. So it's nice to see a Spider-Man have fun.
Yeah, also, Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn is one of the best voice casting choices
Yep.
of
So
any show.
yeah.
I love that actor so much, but I also think he brings so much personality to that role because I know in some versions of Spider-Man that have that have been released, Norman Osborn can be he is an interesting character, but sometimes it's through that execution they can make him rather dry. Here,
Yes.
they absolutely nail it. And to be honest, the voice cast as a whole is fantastic. The tone, perfect. Soundtrack's brilliant. It's nostalgic, but it's refreshing. That is the best
Yeah.
way I can sum it up if you've not watched the show already. Whereas X-Men 97 was like a blast of nostalgia and like carried on that story in the best way possible. This has that perfect blend of trying something different and being nostalgic at the same time. But yeah, that is my second pick. What is you're on your third now,
This is
right?
my number three. My number
Yeah.
three is an animated show, so we're both animated
Ooh,
in this thing.
okay.
And it is season 5 of Harley Quinn, which I had kind of forgotten was this year, but was this year.
Nice.
This is the season that takes Harley out of Gotham and moves her and Ivy, so that's Kaylee Cuoco and Lake Bell's characters,
Yep.
out of Gotham and moves them to Metropolis and puts them in a Superman kind of setting. Um, Weaves in lots of Superman mythology and Superman characters, which is fun in a year where Superman's kind of put back in the spotlight a little bit.
Yep.
Um, hasn't been renewed for a sixth season as yet, but I'm very hopeful that it will be.
Mm,
But however, if this was to be the end of the show, it's a really beautiful ending because it ends in a really sweet spot for this show.
mm,
Um, it has had a habit of, since getting the two characters together, kind of breaking them up or throwing obstacles towards them. Whereas
yep.
this series is very much Harley and Ivy together as a couple solving the overarching mystery of the season together, which is really nice.
Mm,
If you've enjoyed that show up to this point, you will continue to love how bonkers it is. It is just more of the same, just taken out of Gotham and moved into this new location. And it
yep.
was really, again, I actually want to go back and rewatch it now that I remember that it's this year because it
Mm,
honestly feels like years ago that I watched it somehow. Um,
mm,
has been a show that I have loved from the beginning and was really fun to see them do something different again this season. One of the previous showrunners who had left and worked on Creature Commandos came
mm.
back into the show for this season, and it kind of gave it a renewed sense of vigor about it. And it's one of the best seasons of that show altogether.
Love that.
Annoyingly, I don't think it's actually been on in the UK as yet, but
Mm,
is available in the US and should hopefully be available digitally pretty soon. Um,
cool.
Wonderful season of a wonderful show.
I think I said we actually spoke about it a little bit in the last
We did,
one of the last episodes we were on, where I was like, I heard the episode where you and Michael were talking about it, and I
yeah.
really do want to watch it. It's just one finding the time and also trying to find that outlet in the UK that that
Yeah.
shows at the
So you can
moment.
at the moment you can pick up season 1 to 4 digitally,
Mm,
and you can also get I think you can now get 1 to 4 all on DVD and Blu-ray. Um,
nice.
we just need 5 to land here, which
Yeah.
is normally on E4. It might be
Mm,
that we're waiting for HBO Max to launch here early next year, maybe.
mm,
Fingers
cool.
crossed. If it's not here before then, that will solve the issue.
Mm,
What's your number
cool.
three?
So my number three is a bit of a tough one because I've got there are two shows I don't know which one to put in there, so I'm going to cheat a little
Exciting.
bit and do a joint, but
Yeah.
I will be very brief on both. So my joint number three is Doctor Who season two
Nice.
and Light and Magic season two.
You know
Um,
what? I've not watched any of that, so hit me with it.
yeah, so I'm going to brush over Doctor Who very quickly because I feel like
You can talk about it on Cinema Savvy.
yes, we've extensively covered it, and I feel like the internet has kind of also
Said
said
all it
what
needs to
it's.
say.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I
Brilliant.
think yeah, brilliant season. It kind I it a good intentioned ending, but I feel like it kind of and I feel like a lot of people kind of agree a bit too loudly that it kind of fumbled the ending a little bit. But everything up to that point was one of the most consistently entertaining seasons of Doctor Who I've seen
Yeah.
in a long time. Season one had some really enjoyable episodes, but was kind of a bit up and down in quality. This one, from pretty much the first episode, I was like, right, I'm on board. And then episode
Yeah.
two onwards was just like, good, 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 great, good. Okay, this is really consistent.
Yeah.
Again,
One for the ages.
fumbles it a little bit with its two-part finale, but Companion's good. The story writing was improved. Um, and it's just a really good season. I just wish there were more episodes and that we kind of got a bit more of Shooty.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that's kind of why I'm just going to brush that to one side. Um,
Tell me about Light and Magic because
so,
I love a good docuseries.
yeah, so Light and Magic, I binged watched all of season one ready for when season two came out,
Yeah.
and then watched all of it pretty much in one go. And it is one.
Disney
It,
Plus, right?
Disney Plus, yes. And I don't know whether it's ballsy to say this about a docu-series, but it might be one of my favorite shows, full stop, because it is just so riveting and interesting.
Yep.
And I feel like you'll agree with me here. Is like when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do on my favorite movies is just binge the behind the scenes stuff because a lot
Yes,
of it was like,
absolutely.
how do they do this? And
Yep.
I very distinctly remember this is that one of the behind the scenes how they did it things I used to rewatch all the time was how the hell they did the melting face in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I
Yeah.
think I burnt a hole in that DVD of Raiders of the
Amazing.
Lost Ark from the amount of time and to find out that it was just jello and some blue bits of string and then it just had heat like
Yeah.
lamps on it. That sort of thing blew my mind as a
Mad,
kid.
isn't it? I
And
love stuff like that.
this is that just like spanned over like two whole seasons of about I think there's 6 episodes in season one, and then I think season two is 4 episodes. But it's that spanned over 2 seasons, plus you get to find out all these interesting little things about how ILM was created as a company,
Yeah.
plus a load of things I just didn't know at all that were just fascinating to find out, like the fact that Pixar was originally this like giant old fashioned computer in the late 80s to try and help them start doing computer generated effects, which weren't a thing at the time.
Yeah.
That then got booted out for this new system that they integrated. They then gave that to John Lasseter and Steve Jobs, and they used that to then
Brilliant.
create Pixar.
Yeah.
And it's just little threads like that. And also the fact that I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the core members of ILM in the 80s created Adobe.
No way.
Yeah, like he created in the process of working at ILM, he just created Photoshop like that and then
Wicked.
patented it. It's
That's
just
crazy.
little details like that on top of all this mind blowing like
Yeah.
film stuff that just makes it such an engaging watch. And it's one of those ones. And again, I don't really get this with documentaries because a lot of them are very one and done experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm an avid defender of documentaries as well, which you'll see in the film selections I've got as well. But it's one I immediately want to watch again. which I don't really get with documentaries, but I do immediately want to go back straight to
That's cool.
first episode,
It's very
watch
cool.
it all again, because I feel like there are bits of info I missed, or just like one-off connections that I might have missed as well. But it is a fascinating bit of TV, um, and it's very quickly become one of my favorite shows. Full stop. It's definitely one of my favorite docu-series out there
Yeah.
as at the moment.
Love it.
What is your
My number
fourth?
two.
Your number two? Yes, your number two.
Is a Paramount Plus show,
Yeah,
Mobland.
Mobland.
So starring
That's the
Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy. Yeah, that's the
Yep.
Tom Hardy one.
Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, Paddy
Hmm.
Considine, Joanne Frogger, Lara Pulver, Anson Boone, Jeff Bell, you name it. The Emmett J. Scanlon, major cast.
Mm.
Uh, it kind of gets pitched as Guy Ritchie's Mobland, but Guy Ritchie, I think, he's an EP on the show, but
Yeah.
he only directs first kind of couple of episodes.
Mm.
Um, it's a British mob drama, uh, quite melodramatic, bit soapy,
Yeah.
because it's got a lot of family elements to it. But this really surprised me. This show came out of nowhere and really surprised me. So wonderful team at Paramount invited me to the premiere of it.
Mm.
So went and saw the first episode.
Mm.
Thought it was okay. Wasn't completely convinced, but thought I'm going to come back for more.
Yeah.
It's an episode season. It's been renewed for a second season. Episode two, I thought, okay, cool. You're starting to grab me. Episode three, beyond grabbed, and
Yeah.
literally it became my okay. There's a new episode out now. I need to press play right now. Like literally the second it's on Paramount Plus, I'm like, new episode me. Um, and it just keeps one-upping itself every episode. It's like cliffhanger after
Mm.
cliffhanger. It's just, it's so soapy and crazy, and Pierce Brosnan's Irish accent, despite being Irish by descent, is not great, but you just kind of love it for
Yeah.
its flaws as much as you also love it for its greatness. It's so entertaining. Sometimes it's entertaining because it's so bad
Mm.
it's good, and sometimes it's entertaining because it just is genuinely good.
All,
Uh,
all
it
I
is
want to
not
know
to
is
kill
who.
people off. It's
Yeah.
so, honestly, blockbuster watch.
All I want to know is Pierce Brosnan's Irish accent better than his singing in Mamma Mia?
On par.
Oh, all right. That's not what I was expecting, but I'm intrigued. I
It's a
don't
very
have par.
specific, apparently, it's a very specific regional dialect, which goes over my head. And apparently, it's pretty good to the regional dialect. To me, it
Okay.
sounds like he's struggling. Um,
Yeah.
but I love him for it nonetheless. And Helen Mirren is in
Okay.
the same boat.
I don't have Paramount Plus, but I am I mean, a lot of things with Guy Ritchie's name on it, I will give a go, even if it can be hit and miss.
Mm.
But I enjoyed The Gentleman, the film. I haven't seen the show. I
Why
quite
not?
enjoyed what was the one he did last year? The Ministry of
Oh, the
Gentlemanly Warfare.
warfare. Yeah.
I thought that was it was stupid, but I thought it was fun. But I do want to give Mobland a go because I do like a lot of the actors involved with
It's
it.
ended up being one of the biggest premieres and biggest
Mm.
seasons of any Paramount Plus original show. So it
Damn.
really caught on with an audience massively.
Mm.
I would not be surprised if it starts picking up some random nominations as award shows come round just for it being one of their biggest shows so far to date.
Interesting. That's really interesting. That.
Which means you're now on your number one pick. So what's top of your list?
Oh, I've got two to go because I put Light and Magic and Doctor
Oh,
Who
because you
as
put
a
them together. Okay,
joint.
cool. Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought we'd done. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I can. So this one actually, you know what? I'm going to skim over this one a little bit. I'll mention it, but I'm
Mhm.
still actively watching it, so I
Okay. Yeah.
very easily could be the top spot, but I haven't finished it yet. But it is the most talked about show of the year, and that is Adolescence.
I haven't
Uh,
watched this.
I love almost all the actors involved.
Yeah.
I loved Philip Barantini's Boiling Point back at when I saw it at London Film Festival 4 years ago, I think, 2021 maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm a sucker for it can be quite gimmicky, but I am a sucker for one take things.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like 1917, it can be done really well, but it can come across very gimmicky. I thought with Boiling Point, um, having grown up with that work environment of working in a kitchen anyway, I thought it nailed the stress and chaos of that situation.
Yeah.
And here, the one take element just adds extra sense of paranoia
Yeah.
to the proceedings. I've only watched the first. I'm very late to the party, but I'm only 2 episodes in, and I've still got 2 episodes to go.
And
And each,
are you
yep.
spoiled on the ending, or do you not know the ending?
Um, I know bits and pieces that do happen, but I don't
Okay.
know like the genuine outcome of like the last few moments. So no, I don't
Okay.
know the ins and outs. But if I could very easily see this being my favorite show of the year once
That's
I've
cool.
finished it. But at the moment, 2 episodes in, it is some of the best TV I've seen in ages because
Oh,
everyone
British.
British, yeah, and I think the reason it is just that good is because everyone in every department is working at the top of their game. Directing is brilliant. Cinematography is obviously brilliant, especially working at a one take thing. The performances are phenomenal. I love Stephen Graham anyway, but the one who's
Yeah,
blowing me away is
brilliant actor.
Ashley Walters is the one who's really impressing me because I've not really. I know he's done stuff like Top Boy and that, but I've not really seen him in much. So I'm just seeing him in this is really good, and yeah, it is fantastic, and I can easily see it
Nice.
being my number one if I finished it. But that being said, what is my number one very deservedly deserves to be there.
Oh,
Yes. Do you want to? How
okay.
many
I'll
have
do
you
mine.
got to
I will do
go?
mine. I was kind of hanging there, like, oh, well, tell me what it is. But no, I'll do mine.
Okay.
So my number one. This is
Yep.
a cheeky one because, in actual fact, I've seen more of it than anyone else has. Um, and mine is Star Trek: Strange New Worlds season three. So two
Nice.
episodes of this are available to stream right now on Paramount Plus. Oh, well done, Paramount Plus. You got the top two. Um, well, interesting. Two Apple, one HBO, and two Paramount. Um, I
Nice.
have seen 5 episodes of this season so far, so I am 3 weeks ahead. Um, it's so fun. It's been 2 years since the show finished its second season. It
Mm.
finished on a massive cliffhanger. We have literally had to wait 2 years to find out what happens next. It did the classic Star Trek thing from Best of Both Worlds, which is
Yep.
the new season opened with the words "and now the conclusion," which is that should strike fear into the heart of any Star Trek fan when it comes to a two-parter. But it is just such a wonderful show. It's almost like an anthology show because every episode is a different genre and a different tone.
Yep.
So in the 2 episodes that you can stream now, you have this really serious conclusion to the cliffhanger from last season, which leads into a comedy episode with a massive jaw dropper of a cameo towards the end of it that I do not want to spoil, but was
Okay.
so like, I felt so much vindication for years of thinking something was a theory about Star Trek and it being true.
Love that.
Which takes you into a really fun horror episode,
Mm.
which is like Star Trek does 28 Days Later. If that does not
Oh.
hook you, then
Yeah,
nothing
you've
will.
just instantly sold me on that
Um,
alone.
which takes you into a holodeck episode, which is classic Star Trek, and then takes you into a really good kind of exploration science away mission episode that
Mm.
has some really cool visual effects and practical effects stuff going on. So the half of the season that I have seen is
Yep.
just it is more of the same from this show, which has been great from day dot.
Mm.
So if you're already a fan of Strange New Worlds, there's nothing to worry about. You're going to love the roller coaster as it goes. If you have been kind of dipping in and out of this show and you're unsure, this is a really wonderful season. It's got some wonderful character arcs. There are characters who haven't had too much exposure, who have a lot more to do in this first half of the season, which is great. If you're a fan of characters like Ortegas and Nurse Chapel and Dr. Umbenga, they're really in the spotlight, which is really fun. But you're not missing out on any of that stuff with Spock and Pike and Uhura and stuff, who are kind of supporting in the background and helping these other characters take the spotlight. Really wonderful season, really well written, really wonderfully acted. Beautiful stuff.
Nice.
Any Star Trek fan should be watching this because it's so, so good.
Nice. So
Go on with
my
it.
number
What is
one
it?
after teasing it for so long, going from Star Trek to Star Wars, it's the
Andor.
predictable pick of Andor season two. Um,
No,
yeah, I'm not. I won't say too much purely for the
no,
sake.
go for it. Go for it.
But it.
I will watch it eventually.
I mean, I was very late to the party with season one because I only watched it this year in prep for season
Yeah.
two. I thought that was utterly brilliant. I think for me, season one was a case of it was a bit slow going, but after about like episode two or three, it then clicked and then had like a very steady pace and kind of just amped up with each episode, leading to that fantastic finale.
Yeah.
Season two, on the other hand, is a little bit of the same, but because you already kind of know what to expect with what season one did, you can find a bit of a groove straight from the word go. It is
Yeah.
again a little bit slow to begin with, but
That
very.
was the thing I heard. A lot of people who had screeners for it who were
Mm,
reviewing it had said they felt it was very slow to begin with.
yeah, it so compared to season one, where the first two episodes or couple of episodes were slow and then it got going. This one, every three episodes is its own like mini storyline, and it basically builds over. It builds up to the Battle of Yavin, like basically the year Rogue One happens. So each three segment, every three episodes is a self-contained story that
Ah,
builds on a
that's
bigger whole
okay.
across that second season,
Yeah.
and each one is indicated with like 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, and it builds
Right.
up like a timer
Oh
waiting to
God, that's
explode at the
tense.
end. It really is, and it's one of those. This is one thing I really appreciated about season one is that it did feel like there were mini storylines every couple of episodes that all threaded into the whole. Season two just takes that and basically amplifies it to the most extreme,
Yeah.
and there are a couple of like big set pieces throughout this second season which had my jaw on the floor because it's not just some of the best Star
Yeah.
Wars I've seen, but it's also some of the best TV I've seen in a long time. It's tense. And again, having grown with these characters that you maybe did or didn't like throughout the first season, and then just seeing how it plays out in the second season, you do feel sorry for a lot of the ones that kind of been dragged through stuff. But it is fan. It is honestly fantastic. The way it leads into the start of Rogue One is very smooth.
Yeah.
Which is another thing I was worried about it being a prequel. Sometimes that join between things
Yeah. It
can
can
be
get
a
messy.
bit, yeah, it can be a bit ropey. But this is like, yeah,
Nice.
I watched Rogue One immediately after finishing this,
I can imagine.
and it was just the smoothest transition into that. Um, and yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, most people that have seen it will agree with me. It is brilliant. And I like the fact that each Star Wars show has a bit of a different identity. Like Skeleton Crew is this fun family thing.
Yeah.
Ahsoka kind of leans more into the mythology, and Andor very much is that very gritty, grounded political drama
Yeah.
thing that's got espionage in it. And season two really goes to some dark places, and I loved it. I loved every
Okay.
second of it.
That's cool. I need to finish season one and catch up. Um,
Nice. Well, when you do, please let me know because it
yes.
is so good. It's so good.
And that wraps us up on TV, which just leaves
Hmm.
us with our top five movies of the year.
Yeah.
Um, Wonder whether we're going to do it. I wonder if there's going to be any overlap on here,
I
which
don't know
I've
because
got a feeling there might not be a huge amount.
because there's a couple of films that I feel will be on yours that are honourable mentions for me. That are films that I still love, but I know
Yeah.
they'll be on your list, and I feel like that might be the opposite way around for me, for you with me as well.
Okay. Right. I'm going to go with my number five.
Go
Uh,
on.
if you follow me on Letterboxd, you will see that I have switched around numbers two and three. But as I said, that's an emotional thing over a star rating thing. But my number five is the lengthy titled "From the World of John Wick: Ballerina," starring Anna de Armas, which is returning to a storyline from John Wick 2 and 3 with the whole other set of assassins that are out with John Wick's group. Anna
Yeah.
de Armas is this young girl whose family has been murdered and she ends up caught up in all of this. She's raised to be an assassin, and it's kind of an origin story for her character. It's not quite as it is brutal, but it isn't quite as
Mm.
brutal as some of the John Wick films. It holds back a little bit and does something a little bit different because she is a very different person, very different fighter. It
Yeah.
plays into who she is an actress and her strengths and the strengths of this character, but it is still a really fun slice of that world. The
Mm.
fight scenes are still great. I hope that there's a sequel where we start to do some of that more boundary pushing stuff. I'd love to see her character in a like top down is it when he's in
Yeah,
Paris when he
yeah.
does the whole like
In the
through the
flat with
house?
the
Yeah,
yeah,
that is
yeah, yeah.
entirely top down. I want to see them do something like that with her character,
Mm,
really arty and heavily choreographed, because it's a little bit scrappier in this film because of who she is and how she fights.
mm.
Um, and then I love it because it has two songs in the end credits that have vocals by Amy Lee. So there is an Evanescence song
Love
followed
that.
by her duet with Halsey, and it's literally just like 6.5 minutes of Amy Lee, which is perfection in my book.
Brilliant.
So
Absolutely.
Ballerina is my number five film this season.
I still need to watch Ballerina. I love the John Wick films,
Hmm.
and I did want to see it, but just life got in the way, and I
I
never
think
got a
it did
chance to see it.
all
So,
right at the cinema. I
mm,
wished that it did better, but it did okay.
yeah,
It didn't do badly. It should have done more than enough for there to be another
mm,
story for her character because I think she deserves it.
yeah. I think it's on digital today. Actually, I
It's out
think
on
you,
digital, yes.
yeah, you can rent it. You can rent it at your
Will
recommended
cost you
provider.
a whopping 19.99 if you wish to buy it on Apple. Because I was like,
Jesus.
oh, not quite yet.
Mm.
I will wait till it comes down a little bit in price.
Right. So my first film, and this was a debate for the fifth spot because I'm like, do I go Final Destination, which we
Oh,
both
good
talked
choice.
about, or do I go Deep Cover? Um,
Oh, also good choice.
but I've gone for Warfare by Ray Mendoza and Alex
I've not seen
Garland.
this.
This is a weird one. Like there was a lot of hype around it, and then it came out, and no one really saw it,
Hmm.
which I thought
It
was
did come and go very quietly.
yeah, I saw it the same weekend I saw basically the opening weekend for both that and Sinners, because
Yeah.
again, it was up against Sinners. And it kind of got swept under the rug, which is a bit of a shame because it is
Yeah.
a expertly made, really tight war film. Like it's only an hour and a half,
Hmm.
but it's one of those ones where it is so tense and you're holding your breath the entire time. It feels longer than an hour and a half, which usually would be a complaint most people would make, like, oh, this film was only an hour and a half, but it felt 2 hours. That feels very purposeful here. Like, you're in a really intense situation and you're kind of in the same boat as these characters, whereby you want it to end because it's so dreadful, but it's just never ending and it's just relentless. Like, they're being bombarded from every possible angle. The sound design is
Yeah.
immaculate. Like
I've heard that.
if this does not get nominated for best sound design at the Oscars, I will be surprised because I didn't see this in IMAX and I still got deafened. um, there are a couple of moments. This is probably the most talked about aspect of the sound design, but there is a few moments where they can't call in for air support because the opposing forces are too close to their position, so they call in this thing that I can't remember, a show of force where basically the plane will just fly like
Yeah.
that low to the ground. My God, my ears are still ringing, and I watched it back in like May or March. Um, it's quite intense. The cast are all brilliant. You've got some great actors in there: Will Poulter, Joseph
Yeah.
Quinn, Cosmo Jarvis. Fantastic actors. Yeah, it doesn't reinvent the wheel as war films are concerned, but that's kind of not the point. It's just
Yeah.
kind of going, right, here's a very hectic, chaotic scenario. You're being thrown in it along with these soldiers. That's kind of the point, and that's kind of it. And I like the fact that Ray Mendoza co-directed this film because I think whereas Alex Garland could have taken over and gone like in an arty director route, he
Yep.
just kind of let Ray Mendoza do the majority of the work and go, right, you were here when it happened, you tell the story how it should be. And
Yeah.
that's evident in the final film because it feels and sounds very real. But that's my fifth pick is Warfare, and more people should watch it. It's been available.
Yeah.
I think it's on Prime actually.
Yeah.
You won't get the same experience, but it is available on Prime to watch for free if you have a
Got a
Prime
good
account.
sound bar.
Yeah, soundbar or surround sound system, you're in for a treat. You might want to turn it down a little bit.
Okay. My number four pick is written and directed by Drew Hancock. It
Okay.
released. When did it release? I can't. It was towards the start of the year,
Yeah.
January, in fact, in the US. So we're going right back to the beginning of the year. It stars Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. Uh,
Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah.
this is Companion. Um,
Hmm.
if you did not see this, a weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem. This was a fun horror vehicle for Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. It also stars Rupert Friend, Lucas Gage, Harvey Guillen. Cool cast. Um, it's a fun Black Mirror-esque horror story.
Mm.
Goes to a lot of very unexpected places and asks a lot of questions about, I guess, AI in a kind of roundabout way, but also human autonomy and a bit of freedom of speech and freedom of choice, which is really interesting to wrap up into a sci-fi story. Um, I don't want to say too much because it's that kind of film that you sort of need to enjoy the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of it is spoiled in some of the film's marketing. So if you've not seen it and you are unspoiled and you have a kind of
Okay.
interest in this film, I highly recommend going into it without watching anything beyond the teaser
Mm.
trailer, or if you can, go into it purely based on a that synopsis sounds interesting or I like this cast, because it's really easy from the marketing to end up knowing too much about it. Um,
Mm.
because there's one hell of a wild ride to go on where you'll think you know what the direction of travel is, and it's actually something very, very different, and it's very, very meaningful and interesting, and
Yeah.
it ends in a very empowering place as well. Um, so it's quite a surprising film. Really wonderful performances from Jack Quaid doing something that you wouldn't expect from him.
Mm.
Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets, which would kind of be an honorable mention for me on TV series for this year,
Yep.
because she is absolutely one to watch. That girl has an incredibly bright career ahead of her.
Mm.
And a great performance from Lucas Gage and Harvey Guillen as well. There's some really heartbreaking stuff in there. It
Mm.
can be a tough watch emotionally at times, as well as being very interesting and very dynamic. For a while, it was right at the top of my list for this year, but has been pushed down by the next few picks that you're about to hear about. But Companion, if you've not seen it, please go watch it. Available on DVD, Blu-ray, digital now.
Nice. I need to give that one a watch. I luckily I've not seen the trailers, so I will be
Just
going
don't
in
do it. Just go straight
completely
in.
blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my next pick somehow has become a controversial one, and I don't quite understand it. It's Jurassic World Rebirth.
Great.
Um,
A modern one
I,
to crash in, says me, with a very modern one coming up.
um, I, I mean, I'm a little bit biased because Gareth Edwards is one of my favorite
Yeah.
filmmakers.
I knew it would be high.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved this. I I don't really know where to start with this one. It's just utterly everything I think people loved and appreciated when seeing the original on screens back in like 1995. I got that same experience seeing
Yeah.
this on the big screen.
It's very magical.
Yeah, it's so I think up to this point I'd only really seen Fallen Kingdom in the cinema. All the others I'd seen on TV.
Really?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, yeah, when it comes to the original trilogy, I only really saw those when they were on like ITV, ITV2, or on
Wow. Oh God, I'm
Blu-ray.
so old.
um, and then the World trilogy, I saw Jurassic World on TV. Fallen Kingdom, I saw in the cinema.
Yeah.
And I was like one of the only people in the cinema, and it was opening weekend, and I was a bit worried.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's sad.
Yeah, and then Dominion, I only watched that the week before
I was
going to
going to
see
say you only saw that
Rebirth.
recently, didn't you?
I actually quite liked it. I can understand the gripes people have with that film. Personally, I thought it was fine. I thought it's about on par with Fallen Kingdom for me. I think they're both enjoyable films. I
Yeah.
think for me, all of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World films, they're all watchable. I don't think there's any truly
Yeah, there's not a
terrible
bad one
one.
in the bunch in terms of like not being watchable.
Yeah, even the like the weaker ones, still happily stick it on and watch it. But for Jurassic World Rebirth, I don't know. I feel like it was a weird concoction of everything just falling into place,
Hmm.
and Gareth Edwards just working his magic. That I don't. The scene of the Titanosauruses in the field honestly made me tear up, and
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
that was just involuntary. That just
Yeah,
happened. Um, and
very emotional.
it was at that point like I was really enjoying the film up to that point, but that moment was like this must have been how people felt seeing it for the first time, the original for the first
Yes, it
time
was.
in the 90s.
Yes, it was.
And um, from that moment on, I was just sold. I didn't, for me, my brain was like, I don't care if the rest of the film's crap. That single moment was great. But thankfully, the rest of it's good. It knows exactly how to balance the horror
Yeah.
with the spectacle, and it makes dinosaurs both terrifying and beautiful again. The cast are all bloody brilliant. Again, we got Rupert Friend here, who seems to be having a
Yes.
brilliant year this year with that companion, and I think he's even in the Phoenician Scheme. Um, I think there's another film he's in as well.
Hmm.
But he's great. Jonathan Bailey is having a whale of a time in this movie.
He really
Like
is.
he's like a kid in a candy shop, and I don't know whether that's the character or him, or whether he's
I
just
think it's a
playing
bit both,
himself.
isn't it?
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson's great, but the winning element here is Gareth Edwards, and I'm
Yeah.
not just saying that being biased. I mean that he's really worked his magic here.
Yeah, he
Even
is. Having a
you,
visual effects
yeah.
uh artist as a director is the perfect
Mm.
idea for a franchise like this.
Yeah, definitely. And you could nitpick the story to death. I personally kind of pushed that to one side and just appreciated everything else it was doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could easily pick apart the story, but I'm not going to do that because I just like it as it is. And I feel like people are being a bit overly critical on this one.
It's
Um,
it is
yeah.
slower paced,
Mm,
but it's slower paced for a reason, and I appreciate that it's not just because I feel like the World trilogy is just everyone is like, let's get louder and bigger and more explosions and
yeah.
more horror.
Mm.
Whereas this is very restrained and does something very different, and different is not a bad thing.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it felt like it kind of even compared to like Jurassic Park 2 or Jurassic Park 3, those are still very relentlessly paced films.
Yeah.
Because I only watched The Lost World for the first time a couple of months ago in prep for this, and that at times can feel a bit all over the place and like it's going from one thing to another quite quickly, whereas this pacing wise, I thought was perfect because you get just enough time with the characters just doing their thing, but then
Hmm.
at the same time you get those moments of like, are they going to make it? And edge of your seat sort of thrills that you expect.
Yeah.
But that's my fourth pick is Jurassic World Rebirth, and I wish more people would give it the
It
respect it
lands
deserves.
at my number 7 on Letterboxd for this year,
Nice,
just underneath
nice.
Thunderbolts. My number 3 pick
Hmm.
is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. So this is
Nice.
my number 2 film on Letterboxd, but I'm putting it
Mm.
at number 3 on this list.
Yeah.
Um, what is there to say about this film other than it's an original idea? It's an original director-driven idea that is so wonderfully executed within the big studio machine. It has a wonderful cast. It has amazing special effects. It has outstanding music. It has a
Mm.
wonderful way of playing with aspect ratio if you're watching it in IMAX. It's got vampires singing and dancing. How often
Yep.
does that happen?
Yep.
Um, Yet treats it all with a wonderful seriousness and a level of horror that is also really exciting to watch. It
Mm.
it, it kind of is probably really, honestly, the best film of the year.
Mm.
Um, but arguably there are films for me that mean a little bit more, which we'll talk about in just a second. Um, I would not hear a bad word said about this film because I just think everyone in the ensemble
Mm.
cast is brilliant.
Yep.
Every aspect of the production is brilliant. The
Yep.
writing is great. I will not hear a bad word said about this. And I'm so, so, so glad that he keeps batting back any idea of there being a sequel or anything else because we don't
Yep.
need anything else in this world
No.
as much as you could talk into the mythology of other things that are happening that they talk about.
Mm.
Um, we don't need it. It's just a little slice of cinematic perfection for me.
Yep. So, two things. One, I may be talking about Sinners in a minute.
I wondered
Um,
whether I had a feeling that might be somewhere we would overlap because it is such a big hit this year.
Yeah, I won't say exactly where it sits on my list because I
Ooh.
think it might surprise you whereabouts it is.
Ooh.
But the other thing I wanted to say, going off of the back of what you were saying about the fact that he's being very adamant there will be no sequel, kind of reminds me a bit about Gareth Edwards' first film, Monsters, which was this lovely little indie film
Yeah.
that was more about the journey these two characters went on and their growing relationship. And then, like 4 years down the line, someone made a sequel to it, and it was just like an Iraq action
Yeah.
film with the creatures in it. And I'm like, you've completely missed the point of the first film.
Yeah.
But it just side tangent, but it just reminded me of that. Considering we just talked about Jurassic World and we're on to Sinners. So my next pick is one that probably no one's heard of, and it's really annoying me that no one's heard of it. It's an Apple TV documentary called Deaf President Now.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on the same page here. I've never heard of it.
This one's really annoying me in the sense that like it kind of just got dumped on Apple TV to no
Hmm.
fanfare or no avail, not even a trailer, I don't even think. And even if there was nothing really,
Yeah.
here's a trailer. And it's a shame because it is a brilliant documentary. I will read you the synopsis as
Please
no
do.
one really knows about it. Um, it's about the true story of the in 1988 of the world's only deaf university in the United States. This, and I think that is still the case today.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is only one deaf university in the entire world. It was
Yeah.
established by Abraham Lincoln during the end of his term as president, and during the entire time that that university has been a thing, every president of that university has been a person who can hear, and for years, the students of the university have been trying to get a deaf
That's
president.
president.
And in 1988, four people were up for the role of president, one who was hearing, and the other three that were deaf. Guess what the board do? They put in the one hearing person, and the students basically start revolting and protesting because of this, demanding that they have um, basically the first ever deaf president for that university because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's one of those really effective documentaries where the more you uncover more about this thing, the more riled up you get for the people that were involved because you're just watching it play out and you're like, you're getting angry on their behalf. And I love it when a documentary can just get under your skin and make you obviously you're going to side with the students in this one, but it just the more reasons you hear why and the reasons why the board who were just like these very old rich people who could hear and didn't really care about the students' well-being, they just wanted another person in, just because it really winds you up in the best possible way. And it is such a really good documentary. I don't really know what else to say other than if you have an Apple TV subscription, please watch it because no
Yeah.
one's talking about it. Um, and like I said earlier, especially when it comes to like favorite films of the year, I will always try and put a documentary in my top 10 because I'm always a massive advocate for documentary filmmaking. And this so far just kind of shot straight to my third position and hasn't left. Um, and it came out in April,
Oh.
so that's a good couple of months ago, and nothing's quite knocked it off the top three. And it's going to take something quite gargantuan to knock my top three around. Um, but yeah, it's very good, and it made me aware, especially having a disability myself. It made me aware of something I wasn't even was aware was a thing.
I think I have
Um,
heard about. I didn't realize that was a thing, but I have
mm,
heard something about the Deaf University, which makes me think I've seen something about this documentary somewhere.
it is quite um it does choke you up at times, especially
Okay.
seeing the lengths that these students went to in terms of completely locking down the entire campus until this decision was made.
Yeah.
And no teaching happened, no nothing. They literally stopped the board from trying to get into the campus to try and resume teaching. They had it on lockdown, And it's very inspiring. It's very interesting. Please give it a watch,
Wow.
because it's a very important documentary that I feel like I'm the only one talking about it at the moment. Whenever I talk to film people or look on
Yeah.
Letterboxd, but yeah, no, cannot recommend it enough. It is
Wow.
utterly brilliant.
Okay.
What is your
My
third
number
pick?
two.
Your number two, yes.
My number two for this year
Mm-hmm.
is Superman.
Okay. So for context, that is now my 10th favorite film of the year. It knocked
Nice.
F1.
Yeah.
F1 was number 10. As soon as I saw Superman, I was like, sorry, Joseph Kosinski. Doof. Superman is very confidently in my 10th, and I can
I,
see it going up a bit
I feel
more.
like this might be the biggest twist of the podcast is me saying that Superman is my number two film of the year.
I am
Because
intrigued now to see what your the number one is, because I don't. I thought Sinners or Superman would be in the top spot, but now I'm a bit.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not because we'll be here until the end of time. You can read my review of Superman over on the website. I loved it. I laughed. I cried. I've seen it 5 times. It is
Love that.
magical. The only thing that I can say is that it is the purest form of the DC universe that I have been reading in comics for 30 years of my life, distilled into a film. James Gunn is a genius. He has managed to recapture the magic of Superman and put him into a film with all of these other characters, the Mr. Terrifics, the Guy Gardner, Green Lanterns, the Hawk Girls, everyone. It is just magical. It is so wonderful to watch, and I have loved watching it every time. I have loved getting to be involved in helping promote this film. It has just been wonderful, and I can't wait to see what comes next from the DCU. It's just magical.
Mm,
Um, that's all I'm going to say about it. It's just wonderful. It's all wonderful. David
mm,
Corenswet is one of the best actors ever cast as Superman. He is up there with Tyler Hoechlin for me, who is my favorite. Much
mm.
like Rachel Brosnahan is up with Bitsy Tulloch as possibly my favorite Lois Lane.
Yeah,
Wonderful stuff. But it is my number two.
yeah. I only saw Superman. I was a bit late to the party, and I only saw it on Friday.
I think we should sit down and do a longer talk about Superman. I would still quite like
Yeah.
for us to do that, which is why I'm going to restrain myself right now.
But I'm pretty much just gonna. I mean, it's not in my list, but it is in my top 10. I'm gonna echo everything you've said. I mean, I because this is the thing. When it comes to DC Comics, I know my Batman's back to front, but
Hmm.
Superman is a bit of a grey area that I've been wanting to explore in the comics for ages, but I've never found the right avenue.
Yep.
And seeing this film, which kind of going off of what you said, for me felt like the film equivalent of reading a Superman omnibus,
Yeah.
in one go, just in film form. And seeing this film, I want to read more Superman, and I feel like if that isn't a massive positive, that I mean that yeah, that's for someone who's never read Superman and wants to go actively go out their way to read more just from seeing this film, that's done its job in my
That is
opinion.
absolutely, and that's the most magical I think about James Gunn is, and I've talked about this on podcasts before, so I
Mm.
apologize to anybody that's heard me say this before, but I feel like Marvel films don't drive you towards a specific comic book. You could go read a character,
Yeah.
but often there's a bit of a disconnect between Marvel's movies and their comics, whereas there's always been a bit of a synergy at DC, and James Gunn understands that synergy, and I think he's brought it out
Mm.
with this film.
Yeah, it also makes me want to read more of not just Superman, but the other characters that I wasn't aware
Right.
of
Yep.
before the film, like Mr. Terrific, like Metamorpho. Um, yeah, I agree. But it's not in my top five. My number two is another superhero film, and you mentioned it briefly earlier. It is Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
I adored this film so much. I loved it so much. It felt, and I've seen a lot of people saying this, but I feel like they're saying it for quite the wrong reasons. Is that it felt a bit like what people felt like seeing Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy for the first time in 2014. Not necessarily in the same way other people are saying it, but I'm saying it more in a sense of like this has a bit of a unique voice while still working within that MCU frame.
Yeah.
Um, I loved how. the characters were handled. I think all the actors really brought extra layers to their characters that we never really got to see before, especially the likes of like Wyatt Russell, who was a bit one note in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and here, even if it's just little moments, you get more depth here than you ever got in that show, and I loved it. They all work well as a team, even if it's incredibly dysfunctional. One of my favourite aspects of the film is the fact that it is not afraid to go dark
Yeah, very much so.
thematically and emotionally. It's been a long time since I've seen an MCU film where a character I've just met for the first time has got me to care so much about their emotional journey. And this film did that, not just for the new characters, but for the group as a whole.
Yeah.
The score by Son Lux is bloody phenomenal. I've had It's Bucky, that one single track, on repeat since seeing the
Nice.
film,
I've not
just
listened to it.
because, yeah,
I've not listened to the score isolated outside of the film.
it's a weird one because because obviously they famously won the Oscar for best score for Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Yeah.
and they've translated like their weird experimentation, but again worked within that formula of the of MCU scores.
Yeah.
For example, the main Thunderbolts theme is just an interpolation of the core Avengers theme, and I kind of just love that. Very simple.
Especially when you then
Yeah, yeah. For anyone who hasn't seen the film, I won't say what, but it's just little details like that that I love.
Yeah.
I think Jake Schreier's done a brilliant job.
I'm so glad that they've chosen him for X-Men because if there's anything that
Yes,
you take away from Thunderbolts, it's that this man can handle a group cast very,
yes.
very, very well.
And a lot of the X-Men, as we know from like if you grew up watching the Bryan Singer X-Men films, is that a lot of those characters have very damaged backstories, but they
Yeah.
come together to form that group. And seeing Thunderbolts, like you just said, he's kind of the perfect man for the job.
Yeah.
But Thunderbolts is one of those. Yeah, I know a film is great when it's like I've just watched it, but I immediately want to go back in the cinema
What?
and watch it again.
Yeah.
And Thunderbolts and my number one pick both had me feeling that way. Yeah, one of Marvel's best in a long time, and that's
Yeah,
saying
definitely.
someone who loved Guardians Volume 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine a lot. But Thunderbolts just felt like a breath of fresh air, and I think a lot of
Definitely.
people stand on that as well.
Yeah,
So what is your
definitely.
number one? What is your number one? I'm really intrigued now. Oh,
In my head, I was thinking maybe we'll make you do your number one first, just to keep mine for
I
the
mean,
anticipation to the end.
we
Um,
can do if you
no,
want
no,
to
no, it's fine. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll put you out of your misery. My number one, I guess, in a way, is sort of a documentary. It
Okay.
is definitely documenting something real, albeit from a
Hmm.
very heavily stylized approach.
Hmm.
My number one. Um, no, I should have called up the IMDb page because I could have tried to hit you with random facts first. My
Go on.
number one is Hans Zimmer, Diamond in the Desert.
Right. Okay. I completely forgot that came out this year, so I feel
Hmm.
my brain had just gone. Yeah, that's nowhere near the list. And then,
So, Diamond in the Desert is, for anybody that doesn't know, is I say just more than just anything, is a
oh,
concert movie of a show that he did in Dubai last year. It's his most recent touring configuration,
yeah.
just distilled into a film. Um, Most of it is filmed on stage. There are certain performances which are taken elsewhere to different landmarks in and around Dubai for some shooting. So they go out into the desert for some of the Gladiator soundtrack. There's a really cool sequence for The Dark Knight where he is shot to be like a Batman villain in this
Mm,
high-rise flat. There is what else is there? There's a really wonderful location where they go and do Interstellar.
mm,
Um, but essentially, all the Hans Zimmer classics are in there. So the Pirates of the Caribbean, Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, his James Bond score is in there. Dune is in there at this point because he's done Dune 1 and Dune 2. So there's a little bit of both of those in there. Um, and it's just really wonderfully shot. I've watched so many concert movies over the year, but most of them have been of like metal bands and stuff that I really
yeah.
enjoy. and they're often quite stylistic, or they're a bit offbeat,
Mm,
or it's the very generic thing of there's a camera at the back of the venue and one at the side of the stage, so you've got
yeah.
here's a side angle, here's a back angle. Whereas this, you feel like you're on the stage, you're so immersed in his really kind of wacky approach to how he recreates his scores live, because he kind of has a bit of an orchestral element, which on this tour is they're all musicians from the Ukraine, which is quite emotional when he tells you their
Mm,
story. But then he has all of his amazing instrumentalists around him as well that are, some of them are doing vocals, then they're playing violin, then they're playing keyboards, they're all doing multi-instrumentalist things. And it's just this really wonderful, amazing group of musicians coming together to bring these scores into a whole new way of hearing them, not just the traditional film sense that you hear them when you were watching the movies that they're in. Um, but it just landed at a really perfect spot for me. And it
mm,
is his if you've never seen him live, his the journey that you go on to his music is really, really wonderful. There's a wonderful ebb and flow to the set list of his concerts, which I think he's really nailed over the years. Because I saw him on his very first tour, and it was very traditional.
mm,
Hands, orchestra, film, 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 film,
yeah.
very traditional. And now it's this like really offbeat, wacky, like very electronic, very rock and roll,
Mm,
uh, like operatic thing that he does now. It's so amazing to see how far it's come. And like Man of Steel now has this huge electric guitar solo in it, which is just like so awesome.
I love that.
And then it all winds up with the wonderful, possibly the greatest piece of music I think ever written for film, which is Time
Mm,
from Inception.
yeah.
And this tells you why this is my number one. Um, mm, People are probably bored of me hearing about talking about things that have happened in my private life in the last kind of 6 to 8 months, but many deaths, many sad things have happened to me in the last few months. And Time is a piece of music which whenever I hear it, it just sums up everything for me. Like I can sum up
Mm,
every bad thing, every wonderful thing that has happened. I have heard Time played live and I have sobbed like a child.
yeah.
I sobbed hearing Time on the cinema screen
Mm,
watching a performance of it. I wasn't even in the room with Hans Zimmer, but
mm,
it just, even on film, it is so well mixed and edited and recorded. The whole way
yeah.
this film is made, you might as well have paid for a ticket to go and see him live. And I realize I've just talked
Mm.
about it for like 10 minutes. But that's why it's my number one because it's just
Mm.
it is as emotional an experience as seeing him live.
I really, to be honest, I completely forgot about that film, but
It was a very brief cinema release, to be fair. It was only out for a
yeah,
week or so. They've not announced where you're going to be able to get it next, but hopefully it should be on home video at some point. Um, if it's something that you're interested in, because he is touring at the moment, but I think his UK dates are almost completely sold out. But
yeah,
if you go listen to his most recent live album, which is just called Hands Him Alive,
mm.
it's a very similar set list to what's in Diamond in the Desert.
Okay, that's interesting because though might not have the same emotional connection with it as you do, but
Sorry,
Inception.
I
That's
get
all
heavy.
right. Inception is one of my favorite scores as a whole from him, just because every single track works on its own, but also really well in the context of the film, but outside of it too. And I think out of all of his scores, it's the one I've listened to the most. I know when I watched the film back in like
Yeah.
2010, I had that on repeat on my iPod Touch. Um, but yeah, you now that you've reminded me of that film, I do want to try and seek it out.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to see him live full stop because I've not had that privilege yet.
So I decided I wasn't going to go this year because I've been a couple of times before.
Yeah.
I mean, it is amazing. It is
Mm.
absolutely amazing, but it is not the cheapest ticket that you're ever going to
No,
buy.
that's
Uh,
half the reason.
so I decided not to this year. But the
Mm.
second I saw this film, I wanted to, and there was one seat left at the
Yeah,
O2, which
yeah.
is literally like just outside this window and like 5 minutes down the road.
Mm.
Um, but it's like an Amex member seat that's like
Oh,
325 pounds,
jeez.
and I'm like, I can't justify it. But I just like it heals the soul
Mm.
to hear certain bits of that music played live. Um, Inception
Mm.
as well is also magical as well. I mean, all of it is magical,
Yeah.
but there are some there are some pieces of music in there that are very important to me now. So hearing it live, it's just been
Mm.
amazing.
Cool.
Over to you. You're number
So
one.
my number one is, and the annoying thing is, I haven't
It
really
better
got
be as
much.
emotional as that story.
I, no, I can't do that. Purely because it's one we've already talked about, and it is Sinners.
Okay, of course, yeah.
I it was one of those films where I saw it the opening weekend, and I was a bit worried that like, are people going to be hyping this up so much that by the time I watch it, it's not going to have the same effect. Nope, absolutely adored this thing. I think as much as I emotionally and emotionally resonated more with Thunderbolts just because of what it was doing in the within the confinements of the MCU. Sinners, I think, like you said, on a technical level and just on a filmmaking level, it is the best film of the year.
Yeah, it is.
Like, even if it's like not in your top 10, I think anyone can at least agree from a filmmaking perspective, it is the best film of the year. I can't really there are tons of films I can compare it to, but at the same time, it's an experience
Yeah,
unique to
I know
itself.
exactly what you mean.
Um, and I'm pretty much just going to echo everything Neil said. The performances are all incredible. The score, again, I had on repeat multiple weeks after seeing the film.
I'm waiting for my vinyl to arrive. I have it on.
Yeah,
I have it on pre-order.
I still need to pre-order that. Because it is so good. Ludwig Göransson has not missed since I want to say since Tenet. He's been on a run of like really, really,
Tenet
really,
is
really.
such a beautiful. I'd love to hear that played live because that's such a cool
Yeah.
soundtrack.
As soon as he announces a tour, which I don't know if he will, but if he does, I'm immediately on board for that. But yeah, Sinners is brilliant. And this is someone who was like, I've liked Ryan Coogler's films up
Mm.
to this point.
Yeah, I know
But
what you
this
mean.
one has sold me on him being like a truly amazing, like tour de force of a filmmaker. I don't like using that term, but
It kind of sends him stratospheric, this film, doesn't it?
yeah, and I think that's one thing as well. I was expecting the horror elements and the good performances, but I was not expecting this film to have like a sort of otherworld, like an out of body ethereal element to it. Like there is, I won't go into spoilers, but like there is one segment, and you probably know exactly which bit I mean, but it just feels like the film kind of pushes the plot to one side for a minute, and then just kind of ascends
Yeah,
for like a solid
literally.
10 to 15 minutes, and I was like, the film had me on board, and this scene alone has just kind of gone, yeah, okay, this is like top tier, not just of the year, but like maybe the decade. This is
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, my number one film of the year is Sinners, and I was having a conversation. I was having messaging someone else who we know that has this at the top of their list for this year. It's gonna take some beating
Yeah,
to
exactly.
knock this off the top spot.
I only Hands and Sinners have I rated 5 stars on Letterboxd. Superman I gave
Mm,
4, but Superman means more to me emotionally than Sinners does, which is why I flipped it for this list.
yeah. For me, Jurassic World, Death President Now, Thunderbolts, and Sinners all have 4.5, but I feel like all of them on a rewatch will get bumped up by that half a star that they just need to. But
Nice.
especially Thunderbolts and Sinners, the more I've sat with them mentally, I could confidently give them a 5 at this point because I
Yeah,
just like enjoyed them so much. But then also got an extra level from it as well that I don't get with many films, that especially big tentpole blockbuster films like those.
yeah,
And it was just refreshing to see something this original handled with so much care and precision and mastery.
yeah.
It's just so good. We could rattle on about this for ages, but it is just so good, and I can't wait to see what Ryan Coogler does next with original ideas, rather than working in the confinements of a franchise like Rocky or with
Mm.
MCU. I just want to see what he does next.
Yeah. It'll be
And yeah,
interesting to see where this lands when we are in another 6 months' time talking about what were our favorite things of this year.
mm,
Or 5 months' time.
I'm very confident that Sinners is still going to be knit. I want it to still be at the top,
Hmm.
but I feel like it might be in the top three. I don't know. It's gonna take something
Yep,
gargantuan to knock it off the top.
it is.
Yeah.
Or galactical.
No, we'll take that segue. Yep.
I should have gone for fantastical. That would have been easier. Well, I don't know why I had to go for his name there without using the name of the film.
Well, it works.
We shall see.
It still
That
works.
that's been really interesting to hear where we've overlapped and where we haven't. It's kind of sort of been as I thought it would be. I really like how different our tastes are when it comes to comic books, but then how
Mm,
much we kind of segue once it gets into a little bit of TV, but then mostly in film.
mm.
To thank you very much for sharing your top five comics, TV, and movies with me. We slightly overshot what I thought the length of this podcast was going to be. We overshot by roughly an hour.
Oh
So
God.
we will save our anything we're looking forward to in the back half of this year, and we'll maybe pick that up when we do our next episode. I
Mm,
really want us to sit down and dive in closely on Superman, just because I really want to talk about it some more and talk about it properly, and
mm.
just properly like geek out with someone and vocalize everything that I loved, things that I didn't like so much about it. So I
Yeah.
think we should do that for our next episode if you're down for a Superman chat.
I would absolutely love that because again, as someone like expert novice, I feel like that would be an interesting thing to kind of go. What? How does that differ in the comics? And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a really interesting
Yeah.
conversation to have.
I think that will be coming up next for us. Anything else that you have got going on at the moment that you want to shout to the world about?
Not that I can think of in the immediate future. No, not that I can think of.
In
No.
which case, just tell us again where we can find you on social media.
So on YouTube and TikTok, you can find me at Aaron at the Movies, and then every other social platform, it's Arun Azza, not the posh version, Arun Azza. But yes, that is what I'm
Leviosa,
doing.
not Leviosa.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of writing stuff on the go, and video wise on my YouTube, there will be videos. I'm
It'll
busy.
happen.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Likewise, if you want to check out more about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, my interviews with Melissa Navia, who plays Erica Ortegas, and Celia Rose Gooding, who plays Uhura, are up across all of our socials and our YouTube right now. There might be some more Star Trek interviews coming. Not going to hold my breath, but there is possibly some more junket time coming on that. We will have some coverage coming up on Fantastic Four very soon, which is releasing very, 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 very soon as our trifecta of July movies comes to a close. But thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to keep up with the latest news, please head to our website, which is www.getyourcomiccon.co.uk. You can find us on all social media platforms at Get Your Comic Con, or you can find me at Neil Vag. So thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay well. Bye.